Hi everyone, this is a lead-up video that will focus on the checks that should be carried out on a door frame or set of door frames before one starts the process of fitting doors into those door frames. Before we start, we must first check the level to see if it is giving an accurate reading with regards to being plumb. So place the level on the wall as shown here and draw a line when the bubble indicates that it is reading plumb. Then twist the level and draw a second line close to the first line as shown here now. Both lines should be parallel. If they are not, then you need to adjust the level. Here we will check the level to ensure that we are getting an accurate reading from the level. So place the level on the wall and draw a line when it indicates that it is reading level. Next, reverse the level as animated here now. Then draw a second line close to the first line as shown here. Both lines should be parallel if the level is reading level correctly. If not, then you must adjust the level and redo this test until you get parallel lines. So here we have a plastered wall with a rebated door frame fitted. So before we begin to plane in a door into this rebated frame, we must first assess the frame for a level head. Is the jab straight and plumb? And is there a twist in the whole frame overall? Notice that when checking for plumb and straight, we will be placing the level on the frame rebate because that is where the door itself will be hanging later on. So that's the more critical side of the door frame. So this is something you do not want to see. The level rocking on a bump on the jamb as shown here. In this case, if this is the case, then you will have to eliminate the plaster from the back of the frame to make adjustments to the jamb until there is no bump. But keep an eye on keeping the frame plumb as you are trying to eliminate the bump. So draw a plumb line at the back of the jamb to indicate how much plaster will have to be removed to eliminate the bump on the frame. Where the level is showing a gap between the level and the jamb midway down. If this is the case, you will need to wedge out the frame to eliminate the gap. But keep an eye on keeping the frame plumb as you're trying to eliminate the gap. Now, if there's a mil or so of a gap here, I prefer that than have it the other way. So don't worry too much about it if it's only a mil or so. So here we are checking the frame head to see if it is level. That sometimes you can wedge the jamb downwards a little bit if need be. There might be a little bit of give on the frame. So usually you can use a hardwood wedge there, especially if you're wedging down from a block wall as opposed to a timber stud. Here we will check using a square and a straight edge for twist where the jamb meets the floor. So each jamb, one of them could have a slight twist, and that will cause an issue down the line with hanging a door into this frame. So here we have in this illustration, we have discovered that there is a twist on one of the jambs. And now we'll go into how is it that we will deal with this. I just want to show you the effects of what happens if you don't eliminate it. And in this case, you can see that the flaps of the hinge will fully close before the door itself fully closes, which means there'll be resistance for the last inch or two before the door fully closes, which is something you don't want. And it would also cause the lever effect would also cause a bit of movement on the frame itself as you're forcing the door closed, which is not what you want really. Um, this next illustration just illustrates the point that you'll have to check both frames, both frame edges for plumb. If if the walls are already plastered, then there is not much you probably can do about it apart from the approach taken on the next example to adjust the jambs at the floor level in and out a little bit to maybe reduce to make it less off plumb if it is quite a bit off plumb. Okay. So another check is known as the daylight check for possible twist or the frame being in warp. It means that you should see a parallel strip of daylight, as illustrated here, between the door jambs to confirm that there is no twist in the frame. So if there's a twist discovered, then the frame will have to be adjusted to eliminate this twist. This adjustment will result in the frame edge not remaining flush with the plastered wall, but usually the architrave, which usually has a plough taken out of the back of it, will probably help with that issue. So if you are dealing with a twist on the overall frame, don't try and make all the adjustments on one jamb. Try and balance out that adjustment between both jambs if you can. But of course, you're also watching for a plumb, so you might have to make adjustments more so on one jamb than the other to pull it into plumb as well as getting rid of the twist. So here's an example of an approach you might be able to take down at the floor level, whereby you get something like a 4x3 or something stocky and use a packer here shown in red. And in the next illustration, you will see that we'll be using a G-clamp then to pull that in the direction we want to go to eliminate the twist. Here we are now pulling the jamb at floor level to try and eliminate the twist. And usually when you do that, you'll have to put in an extra fixing, otherwise it'll only spring back the way again when you take off the clamp. Now you may be faced with a situation where the jamb extends down below the floor level, and if it's a concreted floor, then obviously you'll have to cut the jamb at the floor level to allow it to move it in the direction you want it to move it to. So just making that point there on this particular illustration. Also, check the door frame opening distance at the top and bottom of your door frame to check if they are the same. Also, check the distance from the finished floor level to the frame head to establish if the door will have to be slightly reduced in height, for example. So bear in mind that 1 or 2 millimeters off in plumb, level or twist might not be worth adjusting as the knock-on effect is very small when hanging the door. So that concludes the frame check before you start the process of fitting the door frame into the frame. Hopefully that will be of help to you. All the best.